Okay, guys, here we go on, what are we, the 19th of June here, and so we're looking at crypto today. It feels like really across all of crypto, we're kind of in a holding pattern as Bitcoin is just going sideways. You know, it makes you want to look to the alts thinking, oh, well, that's typically, that's a strong environment for alts where Bitcoin is just holding steady, consolidating. That can give some alts room to move. But boy, it's just ugly. So we had to do two takes on the poll this morning. The first group was just god awful, guys. I mean, I don't like to reject what you guys are posting up, but boy, those are, I mean, God, Ripple, Bitcoin, guys. Yeah, at some point, yeah, but that may be the ugliest chart I've looked at in a long time. So sorry, I know that was our poll winner, but there's nothing I can say there other than why are you even looking here? All right, moving on. Now this does look a little more interesting here, and there's a few things I can teach. There's nothing for me to share with you guys. Sometimes it just feels like a waste of time. We're just going through the motions. Now this here, there's a few things of note here. Now, we're going to get to the hard right edge, but I want to take just a quick second here to show you something. I mention this a lot, particularly when we talk about, this comes up a lot in when we're looking at the day trading, intraday stuff, and we talked about this a lot in some of the day trading webinars, but I just want to show this to you. So here, coming from all the way back to our top here, you'll note here I have this pivot wicked off here, and I'm going to show you why. So as I come down to the very first low, okay, do you see we've got this 50 here? So you see it goes into the golden zone, but it's after the fact, right? So actually, just out of curiosity, that's in between. But this is the one that seems to tag it. So if I get that right on here, okay. So here's what I'm trying to show you. So from here to here, we get that, but we also have it from the 50 here. So you've got kind of a mixed bag here. If we go to this one. All right, now we come to the 38, but if I come down one here, let's get that right on the next pit. Well, let me get this arrow out of here. All right, so this is the point I'm trying to make here. Okay, so we get, there's this alternating pivot sense. So here's what I'm trying to get. I'm taking kind of a long-winded way of getting there. So this retracement here goes 618 to the tick, right? So we've had a series of retracements. Actually, I think there's one more in here. So if I pull from this one, come here to this one, all right. So we have another 50. So right on that edge. So here's here's that secondary 50, which ultimately finally gets target way over here. So here's the 618 here. Let me get that one off. So then we go through into a series where what I'm trying to get to is to show you the alternation here. So here's the golden zone. Now that has not made target, right? So that target is down here, hasn't gotten there yet. Well, as you go through the sequence here, so I'm gonna take that off now. As we pull, I'm gonna go to the next pivot. If I look at the next swing low, all right, we break the 65. But as I've try to show you guys repeatedly, this is a pattern that we know the algorithms like. It's the next. Once you get that ABC pattern, it's the next pivot that often is very technical. So to show that to you, if I go down to my low here, get it right on there. So we do it again. So we have 618 to the tick here. We get that little ABC pattern, and then we come back 618 to the tick yet again. So the sell is here, but they're being denied. So market strength, they're not getting their target down here. It looks like it's on its way. Should I pay attention here? Well, there's zero right close to it. So it looks like it's on its way, but ultimately we finally get some support, and now we're getting the lift out of here. So from that last pivot where we have the 618, now we've broken through the 786. Now it's worth, right? You got to go back, check here. Now if I get it right on there, now we're right back to the golden zone. So you see how these pivots are always in play. That's why you hear me talk about it all the time. You got to go back one, right? If it's not this one, go back one. There, you'll find it. So here we are. This is the last one. That was our 618. Before we come, once again, where do we stop? Right in the golden zone. Right, so we have 50s and 618s all the way down. If it's not the first one, go back, because often that little ABC, that alternating pivots, is where you'll find it. So you look here and you go, well, why does it stop there? It's always the question, why does it stop there? So I show you those so you know what to look for. So we've got resistance here. Now, just because we bump into it doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to go down here. It just means we can understand why it stops there. Now, for this to carry on, we're going to have to get through that. But if we get through that, right, same process, right? If it's not that one, we got to go back one. Right? I would check this one here because we know that was part of it, and then ultimately you got the all the way. So for this to go, if we're going to get a true third here, we're going to get some legs here across the alt space, and this is going to get a true third. Well, we're going to need to get through that 65. Then you've got clear skies, right? So you can see this all over crypto, right? We're all fighting to get through the halfway back or get through the 65 from the all-time highs. So are we in the process? I do think so, right? But we're not there yet, right? So we can think it, but we can't confirm it until we get there. So now, with all of that established, let's go ahead and take a look at this move off of the low. So I'm on Binance here on the daily. Let's go down to the 4 hour. So there's some ugliness in here. A little tricky coming off the low here because you've got the, kind of pump, and then there's a lot of pump going on down here. So off the low here, I think you've got to go with your one here. So it's ugly, but that's about the best you can do with it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got some sort of ugly diagonal with a kicker in the 5th. So I think we do have to come down here for the 2. So off of the low, all right, that's our 1. Well, we're in the sweet spot here. You see a little structure here seems to kick in. So we get right between the 50 and the 618, right where we're looking for it. Now this also a little ugly, another diagonal into the 1. So we get one diagonal followed by the 2, then another diagonal. And we get a leading diagonal. Looks like you got to go with your 2 here. This is slightly lower. And then from that into the 3, 4, and finally we finish the 5 up here with an expanding diagonal. Right, looks like we get an ending diagonal up here. So it looks like that's our third here relative to this 1, 2. Here would be our shorthand for the 1, 6, 1, 8. So we're in the range of what we'd be anticipating. So I'm fairly comfortable with this. So note here from the 2 low to the pivot here, right? We come right to the 50 here. We come right to the 50. Here's our shorthand. We ultimately get the second target. Now coming out of that, looks like we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give me the 3 relative to this 1. So here's off the low, we've gone. It would appear 1, 2, 3, 4, and have gone up for the 5. Now the 2, not great. I looked at some alternates, but I think we've got to live with what we've got here. There is a little ABC there. This diagonal looks fair, it's not ideal, but it looks like it's certainly valid. Right? So we get the kicker in the 5, and then again we get. It looks like we've got the kicker in the 5 here again. So let me pull this off here. Let's clean this up. So I think this move off of the low here is decent. So let's also check from the 2 through the pivot of the 3. Here's our 38, right where we're looking for the 4. Right. Note here, Vegas wave right into the lips, catches it, rip up we go. So from the 38, we get through second target with that wick. But I think what gives us a decent contender here for a solid 1 wave off of the low. So we get an impulse into a 1 wave high. Now the correction here. This is a bit brutal. So there's a little ABC here. I think so. That's solid here. I think we've got to go WXYX. Good luck in there. All right, I'm not going to go through trying to get the subdivision in there. I really don't think it matters. Right, whatever we've got down here. If this is a candidate, so we've got this zone down here. Let's do it this way. So we've got this double bottom down here. So I'm going to label that as my Z. Right, so if this is going to go, this isn't going to really matter. Right, so there's some sort of ABC in there, but again, I don't really think it matters. Right, so there's that. So either this is going to go here. So we've got our corrective 2 in. So off of the low, let's check the low from our absolute low down here. Get it right on there through the swing high. So we've come right to the 50. So reasonable for the 2. This funkiness is a little bit odd, and this, it's just what do you do with it, right? There's ABC of some sort in there. So coming off of that, let's go into this first little move here, because if we're just gonna call this some junk coming down, all right, let's get into a double bottom potentially here for the 2 here. Well, if we're going to come off of this, we need a motive wave. So if we're going to get something like that, we've had a 1, 2, 3. We've already had the overlap. So this is going to need to play out as a diagonal if we're going to get this, because obviously the alternate is it's just an ABC, and we've done 1, 2, and this is going to continue down and perhaps resolve at a lower level down here. Perhaps we're going to the golden zone down here. Then this will, sheesh, this is just going to be, well, let's hope we don't need to do that. I don't think we will. All right, but before we can be, so there's really, this is so ugly. I don't know that I'd be chasing this here. Well, let me rephrase. I wouldn't try and catch the 4 to the 5 there. I'd wait, because this is such a mess. I'd wait for this to get up here and let me get a little more confidence in some 5-wave structure here. Let me at least get a decent motive. And then once I get that, then I can lean into the idea that I've got a 1 wave here, that I've got a leading diagonal that's a bit better shaped, and we can kind of have some degree of confidence in it than just, standard stuff I show you guys all the time. Then give me that. Now I'm in. But until we get this is just, because look, right, there's lots of times we could have been thinking, right, so look how many times in here could have been, oh, that could be it. Is this a diagonal going? Is this the diagonal going? It's just a mess, right? There's just nothing to do with that other than wait for clarity coming out of that. So it's a candidate, at least in terms of the level of retracement, that maybe we've got our 2 here, but I'm not going to get really confident in it until I get a nice motive coming out of here, because this is just so god-awful. So give me this, right? And again, we don't know that it stops there. We could go this high. So if we're going to get a kicker in the 5, we go up to that algo target. All right, so let's get this back here. So from this low here, we've held the golden zone here. You see if you can see that, right? So we come right to the 618. Now, the shaping in here is a little iffy because it doesn't look like we've got a great ABC. So I need to see this come out of here with some strength before I get excited about a trade here in BAT. And even if I dig in there, where's your subdivision here? This looks like it's the A. That looks like a B. And are we going to fail on the C? It's iffy. So why, when it's iffy, why force a trade there? There's no reason to do anything just yet. Either we come down here, we're going to go deeper. Maybe we disqualify the idea and we're just back into more of this junk, or we're going to kick out of here and we'll figure something out here. It ain't pretty. So all the more as you look at that, it looks like you've got an A, B, C into a B, but it does not look like we're done there like we would be if we're going to get a traditional corrective structure here. This does not look like it could be like it's done. So all the more I'd be very reluctant to just kind of roll the dice in here. Why? There's no reason to. Why? Let's just let this thing, if it's going to come up here, great. Then we'll figure something out here. It's gonna be tricky, right? So, but if it does it, okay, then we'll revisit this. Maybe we'll have to go down to the 15 or 10 minute to get better clarity in here. But until it gets that, this is like so much in the alts. I think it's a little bit of a hurry up and wait. Is Bitcoin ever gonna correct? All right, so far, every dip is supported. So I think that's so. With that happening, I think everybody's in a bit of a holding pattern. Right? There's just no definitive breaks anywhere across crypto. So if you look, even if you just look across the whole crypto space here to the dollar, small moves, right? And it's just everything's kind of flat. We're quiet today. There's a few rippers, but the majority, if you just, and I will typically do this off of trading volume. It's light, right? We're inside 1 percentage point. Now here we get some Ignis, never heard of it, right? So that's getting some traction today. But most of these are all relatively small. There's nulls getting a little bit of a kick, but this is one I do. Hypercash, don't know it. Zcoin, yeah, there's a few that are ripping, but this would not be what you'd call a big day in crypto. It's just a holding pattern, right? As Bitcoin does this, is essentially, right, sitting, going sideways. So I wouldn't force anything. I just don't think there's any reason to. Just be patient, just because, you know, right, we don't want to miss anything, but forcing a trade almost always a mistake. It'll almost always, right, you know, you're just rolling the dice here. Right? And so that without some clarity here, definitive analysis here, so you could say, okay, we're in congestion, we break out of that, okay, right, then that gives me a 5. If I'm going to break down out of this, well, then this is just another ABC, and we're kind of back to that idea of maybe there's a pivot here that we bumped into that is blocking us. So is this just algo structure? Well, there's our 50, here's our 618. So just from that pivot, just to get out of this, this thing is going to have to break that 65. Right? So look where the algo target. If we get this, if this is realized, we could get our 5 wave here, but just still be getting into the natural resistance from swing high, from the dominant high to low of this range. So don't force, guys. There's no reason to. Let this shape up. Now come back down. Then I'm on board with you. All right, guys. I'll try and get one more today. Back to you later.